Ladies and gentlemen, young men across this land, I have a question that might shake your soul and stir your spirit. Are you the kind of man she should chase, or the kind she should run from? You've spent so many nights chasing text messages, chasing hearts, chasing shadows, but I came to tell you today, let this be the day she chases you, not because of your charm, not because of your clothes, not because of your confidence, but because of your character. Because when a man stops chasing girls and starts chasing God's purpose, something shifts in the universe. You see, too many of you have been trained by a broken world. They taught you to be loud but not strong, to be bold but not honorable, to be slick but not sincere. The world told you that being a man is about how many women you can get. But I came to tell you something else. Real masculinity doesn't chase. It attracts. Real manhood isn't performed. It's proven. Young man, listen to me. The woman you're praying for, the one you're dreaming of, she isn't looking for another boy who can text sweet lines and lie in her DMs. She's looking for a man who has discipline. A man who can say no to pleasure so he can say yes to purpose. A man who doesn't need to be the center of attention because his strength is built in silence, in stillness, in the secret place. The woman doesn't chase boys. She chases vision. She follows leadership. She's drawn to character. The moment you stop chasing her and start chasing who God called you to be, she'll notice. She'll feel it. She won't understand it at first, but she'll see the difference. Because while other men are posting and posing, you're planting, you're building, you're becoming. Oh yes, let this be the day. The day you wake up from the slumber of lust. The day you throw off the chains of laziness. The day you get off the couch of comfort and step into the armor of destiny. Let this be the day you stop looking at your phone for love and start looking inside yourself for purpose. Let this be the day you stop asking, why doesn't she see me, and start asking, why haven't I become worth seeing? You don't become the kind of man she chases by accident. You become it by sacrifice, by standards, by strength under control. I'm not here to flatter you. I'm here to call you higher. You want her to chase you? Then start chasing something bigger than her. Bigger than lust. Bigger than the world's applause. Chase vision. Chase discipline. Chase your Creator's design. And one day, when you're walking your path with focus and fire and faith, she'll look up, she'll see you, and she'll say, that is the kind of man I want to follow. But it all starts today, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, not when your friends approve. Let this be the day she chases you, because it was the day you stopped chasing her and started becoming the man you were born to be. You've spent your life chasing women, but what if today you become the man worth chasing? For so long you've been told that a man's value is measured by how many women he can pursue, impress, or seduce. You've been taught that conquest equals confidence, that charm equals character, and that chasing is your rite of passage. You were handed a script by this culture, a script that says if you're bold enough, flashy enough, persistent enough, then eventually she'll come running. But the truth, the hard truth, is that women are not prizes for the persistent. They're mirrors to a man's true worth. And the question is no longer, can you get her attention? The real question is, are you worthy of it? Because any man can chase. But not every man can become the one worth chasing. There's something in your soul that knows this, something in you that grows tired of pretending, of playing the game, of jumping through hoops to get a reaction from someone who was never meant to define your identity in the first place. You scroll through profiles, swipe through faces, send empty compliments hoping that one of them will validate your manhood. But hear me clearly. Validation from a woman will never fill the void that comes from not knowing who you are as a man. You weren't created to chase affection. You were created to reflect purpose. And until you walk in that purpose, you'll always be running after things that leave you empty. Let today be the day you stop. Not because you've given up, but because you've woken up. Because deep down, you know that the most powerful version of you isn't the one who's begging for attention. It's the one who's building something bigger than himself. When a man stops running after attention and starts running toward responsibility, something shifts. The atmosphere changes. You begin to speak differently, walk differently, think differently. You stop looking for a woman to complete you, and you start becoming whole on your own. And in that strength, in that quiet confidence, you become visible in a way you never were before. She won't be drawn to your chase, she'll be drawn to your consistency, your peace, your mission. She'll notice how you say less but do more, how you carry yourself with clarity, not confusion. She won't be able to explain it, but she'll feel it. That difference between a boy who wants her body and a man who's cultivated his soul. That's when everything changes. Because when you become the man who's mastered himself, the chase ends. She doesn't run from you. She leans in. She follows. Not because you chased her, but because you showed her who you truly are. And that kind of man, the one who doesn't need the chase to feel like a man, that man is the one she was waiting to see. Real masculinity is not loud, lustful, or lost. It is rooted in strength, discipline, and purpose. For too long, the world has sold men a cheap version of manhood. It says you've got to be aggressive, dominant, emotionally numb, and addicted to approval. It tells you to measure yourself by status, money, muscles, or how many women you've had. But all of that is a mask, a weak imitation of the strength that God actually placed inside of you. And until you strip off the world's definition of manhood, you'll never walk in the authority and power you were born with. God never created men to be drifters, players, or predators. He created men to lead, to protect, to build, and to stand firm. The masculinity he designed isn't afraid of gentleness. It's not threatened by emotions. It doesn't run from responsibility. In fact, the kind of manhood God designed is so strong that it doesn't need to shout to be heard. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the most grounded. Real strength is found in a man who can control his impulses, who can direct his desires, and who can take a stand for what is right, even when it's not popular. When you operate outside of that design, you feel it. You might not be able to describe it, but you know something's off. You feel frustrated, empty, like you're chasing things that don't satisfy. That's not coincidence. That's the ache of living disconnected from the original blueprint. Because deep down, every man longs to be more than a chaser of pleasure. Every man longs to be a source of strength, a foundation, a protector of something sacred. You want your life to mean something, but meaning doesn't come from flexing masculinity. It comes from submitting it to something higher than yourself. And when you do, you become dangerous to everything false. You become a man women trust, not fear. A man other men respect, not resent. A man children admire, not avoid. This kind of man doesn't have to manipulate a woman into staying. He creates an environment of safety, direction, and leadership that makes her want to walk beside him. Because God-designed masculinity is not about control. It's about covering. Not about domination, but dedication. This is the masculinity that makes her turn her head. Not because you're trying to impress her, but because you've aligned yourself with your original purpose. You're not lost in lust, you're grounded in legacy. You're not wasting time scrolling, you're building something eternal. And that's what draws her in. Not the image you post, but the life you live. Not your noise, but your depth. When a man returns to God's vision for who he is, he becomes a beacon in a world full of confusion. And that kind of man doesn't chase women. He walks in purpose and they notice. A real woman doesn't pursue noise. She's drawn to substance. She doesn't chase boys playing men. She waits for a man who knows who he is and where he's going. You can be loud, you can be charming. You can have the looks, the car, the clothes, and all the moves, but if all you've got is flash with no foundation, she'll see right through you. Because the woman you're hoping for, the one with grace, with depth, with standards, she's not looking for entertainment. She's looking for alignment. And boys who play games don't align with anything but chaos. You see, boys chase approval. Boys chase attention. Boys chase the next thrill, the next text, the next girl, hoping it fills something inside of them that feels incomplete. But women, real women, are looking for more than someone who chases them. They're looking for someone they can follow. Not because they're weak, but because they're wise. A wise woman doesn't run after a boy who has no idea where he's going. She saves her energy for a man who is already on a path worth walking with. Let's make it plain. Chasing her doesn't prove you're a man, it only proves you want her. But becoming the kind of man she can chase, that's different. That takes work. That takes becoming stable in who you are, clear in your values, unwavering in your discipline. Because a real woman doesn't just want chemistry, she wants consistency. She's not impressed by your potential if you have no follow-through. She's not captivated by compliments if they're just a disguise. For lust, she doesn't want a highlight reel. She wants a whole man. This is why so many men get frustrated. They think, why doesn't she give me a chance? Why won't she chase me back? But the truth is, you're still trying to get her attention through behavior that repels the very kind of woman you want. You can attract girls who are just as lost as you, but a woman who knows her worth won't chase someone who doesn't know his own. She isn't ignoring you because she's cruel. She's ignoring you because you're not ready. When you're still living for the party, still living for the hookup, still living to prove something to the world, you're not a safe place. You're a storm, and a woman who values peace won't walk into a storm to rescue you. She'll wait for you to calm it. She'll wait for you to grow. She'll wait for you to become, not because she needs you, but because she wants the version of you that's whole, focused, and walking in purpose. The truth is, the woman you're chasing may one day look your way, but only if you become someone worth following. She's not interested in chasing a boy. She's looking for a man who walks so boldly in purpose that she doesn't have to chase him. She just needs to catch up. When you stop chasing her and start chasing God's call, she'll turn her head. That's not some poetic line. It's a spiritual truth. Because real attraction doesn't begin when you pursue her, it begins when you pursue something greater than her. The problem is, most men have it backward. You spend your best energy chasing people, hoping someone will see you like you want you. You measure your worth by who responds, who texts back, who smiles at you across the room. But the truth is, the moment you make a person your prize, you lose sight of your purpose. You were never created to chase after people. You were created to chase after calling, to pursue something divine, to run with a fire inside of you that says, I have work to do, I have something to build, I have a legacy to leave. Because when you're locked into your purpose, people don't have to be chased. They're drawn to you. Especially the right ones. Especially her. See, the woman you really want, she's not impressed by desperation. She's not swayed by how much attention you give if it's clear you don't have a direction. She might entertain a few boys along the way, but she's watching closely. She's looking for a man who doesn't chase every opportunity for affection, but runs faithfully after what he was born to do. That's the man she respects. That's the man who stands out. Because while other guys are chasing her, he's chasing something eternal. And the truth is, purpose changes everything. It changes how you walk, how you talk, how you spend your time, who you let in your life. Purpose gives you focus, and focus makes you dangerous. Not to people, but to distractions. You don't entertain games when you've got ground to take. You don't have time for flings when you're building a future. You're not begging anyone to see you because your path already speaks louder than your words. Here's what most men don't realize. When a man is chasing purpose, he's not chasing her, but she notices him. Why? Because there's something magnetic about a man with discipline, direction, and drive. Something quietly powerful about the man who isn't looking for attention, but keeps getting it. The man who doesn't run in circles trying to impress everyone, because he's too busy walking a straight line toward his calling. That's the shift. When you go from chasing women to chasing destiny, you stop needing them to choose you. You choose yourself. You choose your standards. You choose your growth. And in doing that, the right woman, the one who was also walking her path, starts to notice. Not because you chased her down, but because you stood up and ran after something more. So stop running after someone who was never meant to complete you. Run toward the reason you were created. When you do, the right people will stop in their tracks, not because you ran after them, but because you gave them something to run with. This isn't about impressing her, it's about becoming the man you were born to be. Because let's be honest, a lot of what we do as men is performance. We perform confidence, we perform charm, we perform success. We learn the lines, the looks, the timing, all in the hopes that someone will approve, someone will notice, someone will want us. But performance is exhausting. It's hollow. It's a show that eventually collapses when the curtains close and there's no one left in the audience. And the sad part is, too many men build their identity on applause rather than authenticity. You don't need more followers. You need more foundation. You don't need a better image, you need a better inner life. Because you can impress her for a moment, but it's transformation that lasts a lifetime. She may smile at the guy with the good game, but she stays with the man who's done the deep work, the one who's healed from his past, who's learned to master his impulses, who's built something real in the dark where no one was watching. Transformation isn't flashy, it's not instant. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming you, the version of you that's been buried under pressure, pain, and performance. It's about going to war with the boy who craves attention and fighting to raise up the man who walks in purpose. That's not something you fake. That's not something you post about. That's something you live, day in and day out, in your choices, in your habits, in your mindset. The reason this matters is because the woman you want, the real woman with strength, depth, wisdom, and self-worth, she's not fooled by a performance. She can see past the act. She's not looking for a man who can play the part. She's praying for one who's paid the price. And that price is transformation. That price is sacrifice. That price is doing the work to heal, to grow, to lead with integrity. You can't shortcut your way into that. You have to become. This is why you must stop asking, how do I get her attention? And start asking, what do I need to change so I become the kind of man she should pay attention to? That shift, from impressing to transforming, changes everything. Because you stop living to be seen and you start living to become. And when you become, the right people take notice. Not because you're trying to be seen, but because you've built something real within yourself that can't help but shine. Performance will get you attention, but transformation will get you respect. It will open doors that charm can't. It will attract the kind of woman who's not interested in being entertained. She's looking for something she can build a life with. That kind of woman doesn't want a show. She wants a man who has become, through process and discipline, everything God called him to be. Not perfect, but growing. Not loud, but rooted. Not fake, but finally real. You don't need to search for her. You need to stand where you were meant to be. The right woman isn't hiding from you. She's just walking her own path, waiting to see if there's a man already grounded in his purpose. Not wandering, not begging, not lost, but standing. Firm, rooted, focused, and most men never realize they don't miss the woman because she's too far ahead. They miss her because they were never still long enough to become who they were created to be. There's a certain type of woman that doesn't respond to pursuit. She responds to presence. The kind of presence that can't be faked. A calm confidence. A peace about you that says you're not desperate. You're not chasing every opportunity that walks by. You're not addicted to being noticed. You're anchored. You're building. You're growing. And she can see that from a distance. Most men are out here searching. Searching for the next woman, the next thrill, the next fix. And in that search, they're always moving, but never arriving. Always trying, but never becoming. What they don't realize is that the very thing they're searching for is usually attracted to the man who stopped searching. The man who decided to build his house instead of wander the world looking for someone to share it with. Because the woman you want doesn't want to be dragged into confusion. She wants to step into clarity. And clarity doesn't come from chasing people. It comes from standing in purpose. From doing the work. From finding out who you are before you try to find her. That's the power of standing. You're not paralyzed. You're planted. And the thing about a man who's planted is this. Even if life shakes him, he doesn't fall. Even if distractions come, he doesn't leave his post. And that kind of man, the one who holds his ground, who doesn't need to impress, who's walking his path with integrity, he doesn't chase women. They notice him. Let her find you standing, not scrolling endlessly through profiles hoping someone gives you a chance. Let her find you standing, not bending over backward trying to prove you're good enough. Let her find you standing, not playing games or jumping through hoops to keep her interested. Because if you have to chase her just to catch her attention, you'll have to keep running just to keep her. But if she finds you planted, solid, focused, faithful, she'll stop in her tracks. Not because you asked her to, but because your life spoke louder than your lips ever could. This is the day to stop searching, to stop striving, to stop measuring your worth by who wants you. This is the day you decide to stand, in character, in calling, in conviction. And when you do, you won't need to chase anything. The right woman will see you from afar and think, that's the kind of man I could walk beside, because you weren't searching for her. You were preparing for her. You've heard every word, but now the choice is yours. You can keep living like most men, chasing what fades, pretending you're fulfilled, performing a version of manhood that was never yours to carry. Or you can rise up today and declare, let this be the day she chases me. Not because I ran after her, but because I finally became the man God called me to be. You weren't born to beg for attention. You weren't created to prove your worth through pursuit. You were crafted with vision, formed with purpose, and set apart to lead, not chase. And when you walk in that purpose, when you stop running in circles and start moving in destiny, she'll notice. The right one always does. Because the day you stop chasing and start becoming is the day the story shifts. No longer a boy desperate for approval, but a man standing tall in his calling. And when that man shows up, everything changes. The right woman doesn't need to be convinced. She just needs to recognize him, and when she does, she'll come. Not because he asked, but because he led. So let this be the day the chase ends. Not because you've given up, but because you finally understand. Becoming is always greater than pursuing. And when you become that man, she won't need to be chased. She'll choose to follow. Let this be that day.